This is our third public lecture in a series of 4 lectures. So tonight we have 3 speakers. 2 are local speakers and 1 is from out of town.
Tonight, I have 3 stories to tell you. Okay. These are roughly the location of my 3 stories. They're all in Kuching Division. My apologies in advance if any of the photo quality may not be so good, as most of them are taken many moons ago and during site visits. The first story, being the most recent, I hope you will indulge me. I will talk about them in chronological order. The first story being the recent one and working backwards. Last year, we completed a private clubhouse for a client. Our client's daughter, Melia, approached us to look at how we would assist her with the repair and renovation of the existing family retreat house in Matang. They wanted to convert it into a private clubhouse. The existing house was built in 1980s. A beautiful site with panoramic views of the surrounding Matang Kuba area and beyond. There were 2 major components, the main house and the outhouse. These were separated and not linked, but by a concrete walkway. This is the view of the house looking towards the main driveway. The white blank wall you see is actually the living room wall. The main house is inward looking. This was in the 1980s, when the area is undeveloped. A house of this nature the car porch, which enters into an entrance hall flanked by 2 sides. One is the living room and the other one is the kitchen and a main entertainment hall. Our primary objective was to open up the space and link them either physically or visually. Our client had also requested for a bigger entertainment area in view that they would have more guests using it in the future. We intended to minimize the additional new building footprint, but to maximize the effect. We proposed to remove the existing low, heavy entertainment roof structure, as seen here, and create a double volume space for the entertainment area to give expansive view of the surrounding from it. This also allows us to outhouse can be achieved by just linking with the deck between the living room and the outhouse, the main entertainment room with the open balcony that links back again to this 3 space. We pulled the living room out to create a new access from there to the outhouse, as seen here. This enabled the circulation flow of the house between the 3 major communal spaces to be interlinked and also to provide views to this part of the site not appreciated before. From the new living room, you could also get a sense of guests arriving from the main gate about 100 meters away. So these are the linkage. But the main challenge of this project was more structural. We could not find much information of the existing structure. Working with our structure engineer, IR Lim Lee Keong, we designed a cantilever structure that would take most of the load of the new extension and pin it to the existing lightly. We also designed a clear story at the apex to bring in natural light from the first floor windows, which looks into the new entertainment space. The existing opening, like the window shown here, was small. We broke down the walls where appropriate to open up the views and allow more light in. We layered the space so that the house opened out to various views either directly or through another space. One of the pleasures with working with a client who's clear on what she requires and knows specifically what is intended is the design and treatment of the new openings. We had a large opening, and the current aluminium doors and windows in the market meant bigger and bulky sections, which was not appropriate. So we wanted a light fenestrative treatment in view that the bulk of the existing building and the new extension would be heavy set. We looked at various options, and we worked with our welder, Mr. Chai from Yek Kiong Welding, on configuration of smaller solid mild steel sections to almost replicate the old critical windows you find in houses built in the 1950s and 60s. These are some of the mock-ups. We had quite a few. There were trial and errors to get the proportion and details right, both aesthetically and as well as structurally. This is Asa, he's the main welder. He got very excited as we got a better view of what we were doing. They actually even innovate on the frame and opening system. The final version was substantially weightier, but eludes a lightness due to its thinner section. This is the frame and the windows, and when it opens. And these are the thinness of the section in contrast to the heavy structure around it. We also played with the treatment of the new balcony so that the counterweights with massive new roof by creating RC bench cham countertop. At the same time, there's also opportunity for privacy yet openness. This is the final shot of the house. The beautiful matang surrounding becomes the attraction for this house. Our house stands quietly, stately, as a form that helps showcase the land. This is the view of the site from across the river towards Riverbank Suites, Grand Margarita, and waterfront. We actually took the sampan from the waterfront site for our site visit. It's faster and cheaper. Our client, Abang Hatta, had initially wanted to convert their old family house, which was not permanently occupied by his family, into a restaurant for his nephews to run. As he was keen to start an architectural conversation on what could be done in his kampong, they agreed for it to become a student project. In 2010, around that time, together with Wee Hee Min from DNA at that time, our respective interns from the two offices worked on a scheme for the existing house and also ideas on how we could architecturally interject more appropriate activities for Kampong Boyan. This is a sketch of one of the schemes they worked on, maintaining the original house but putting structures and items around it to activate the space. Unfortunately, the scheme did not take flight and was aborted due to concern that Kampong Boyan would be under Section 47. In 2012, our client's elderly mother decided that she wanted to move back to the old house to live. This is the old house. The actual old house actually has a lovely story. It was originally a stilted timber house where 14 children grew up. The 14 children, all leading successful lives in their own rights and having their own house today. Our client described to us his memories of the house and wished to capture some aspects of it. This is the old house. The existing house has been altered so much over the years with addition and omission that it has lost its original form. With termite infestation and structural issues, the existing house was not economical to update and alter. The house has a beautiful view of the river, and our client remembered watching the regatta from the upper deck of the old house. This is the relationship of the river and the site. The site is here. The river is here. This is us talking about the memory he had at the old house. We were given a new brief to build a house for the family matriarch and one of her daughter. There was no requirement for a larger house. The ground floor is open to accommodate large gathering when required. It serves as a shaded and secured area for the grandchildren to play and a place to meet neighbors to chit-chat. We elevated the house on RC columns, which gave the two ladies better security. The house is a contemporary take of the vernacular house as described by my client. And this is the floor plan. This is the first floor. You come up here to a deck into a living room with the two bedrooms, and then a courtyard, and at the back there, the kitchen and the dining and the back staircase. However, an additional room was added through the design, and we had to sacrifice the courtyard space for this in order to keep the intended building footprint. We adopted a more traditional sequence of public to private spaces for this scheme, in keeping with the traditional Malay house. So this is the front elevation, the corner with the main staircase. This is the secondary staircase at the back. Men's staircase going up to the first floor deck. The veranda created on the first floor provided an obscured viewing of the river edge just 40 meters away. It also meant that the occupants was above the hassle and bustle of street life, as Jalan Brook is constantly rowdy and packed with stalls, selling ikan terobok to burgers on most weekends and especially festive occasion. This is the living room after the deck, which is more private space for the family. And as I've mentioned, this is the dining room to the back, with the bedroom sandwich in between. This is the deck looking out, and the deck used for receiving guests. The house external walls are actually designed in two layers. The brick wall is plastered on the inside with an air gap and cladded with sandboard cladding on the outside, sandboard being termite and weather resistant. This gave the house an envelope, better thermal performance. Together with the deep overhanging eaves and cross ventilation, the house is kept cool even on hot days. Our engineer, Lim Lee Keong, designed the RC flat slab to allow unobstructed routing of the utility pipes, which can be surface mount and neatly run and exposed for ease of maintenance. This is the old house being demolished. We actually managed to salvage some of the timber material from the old house to be used for the new house, in particularly the flooring of the veranda and the window railings. These are old window railing that was redesigned and reused. New windows are powder-coated aluminium for ease of maintenance. The design is similar to windows found in those days in the kampong. This is Irene Lim, who helped us do the interior and fitting out. And here she is with Nenek on the day they moved in. We actually have no intention to replicate a traditional vernacular house. Ours was an exercise to explore why we cannot build traditional vernacular form with the advantage of contemporary building materials, and at the same time fulfill the requirement of contemporary comforts. I would like to add that Boyan House has air conditioning, not because of heat, but because of the dust and air pollution, especially in anticipation of the annual haze. Architecturally, it started a conversation on that side of the riverbank. Our client has since received so many visitors, local and foreign, uninvited, to the house, curious with the new house in context to the rest of the street front. This is the recent photo taken during the recent regatta. This house, for the family, brought back to them reminder of their past. She stands as a proud family home, which all Nenek's children, their respective spouse, grandchildren, and extended family comes back often to get together. bear with me, one more story. My last story is set in 2007. Then, Donald and Marina invited us on an adventure to build their house charm homestay. They envisaged a family home charm guest house where they could welcome friends and guests from their lodging house Singasana Lounge in Kuching to Santubong, Kampong Santubong, to enjoy the quiet ambience of a small fishing village, yet with contemporary amenities to ensure a comfortable stay to experience communal Sarawak village living. The description, communal village living, inspired us on how we would design the space required. The theme Sarawak would be an interpretation by our client, who have great flair and insight into decorating their abode. The collaboration gave this project, which we call Village House, its soul. These are some of the buildings in the village. The site, which is a landlocked site off a dusty country road, just 100 meters from the junction coming into Kampong Santubong. It is 60 meters away from the beachfront. This is the beach. It is sandwiched on 3 sides by neighboring land and approximately 1,450 square meters in size, or 36 points, give or take. This is view of the approach. It has a magnificent view of Mount Santubong, towering from the back, but there's no sea view. You can smell the salty air and hear the distant waves. There were a few mature trees which we wanted to keep. In view of these aspects, we decided on an inward-looking plan. However, we wanted to avoid a singular bulky building. The U-shape plan consists of the main house in front, flanked by 2 blocks of guest rooms on both sides. The courtyard consists of the swimming pool at the main house, extending to the timber gazebo at the end. So this is the front with the gravel driveway, and then this is the courtyard, and this is the gazebo. We broke and rationalized the various special requirements into smaller 2-story blocks to ensure that the scale and massing is not overwhelming, and to retain a feel of kampong cluster. This also allows us to build around the trees on site. The site is fenced in with green hedges and shrubberies. There is no main door to the house. This house has no main door, actually. The entrance and exit for visitors is via large timber doorway offset at the right side of the house. You're welcome into a courtyard with this is the entrance into the large into the house. You're welcome into a courtyard and a cluster of buildings opening up towards you. This is the view of the staircase. This staircase leads you up to the upper deck of the main house. It has a dining room with exposed roof with view of Mount Santubong at the roof apex. And then on the other side, a bench railing looking out to the courtyard. One side of the main house houses the office and a reading room, which is the only room that looks onto the front entrance of the driveway. All the rest of the room look inwards into the courtyard. These are the rooms. This is the ground floor view of the main house. The bar, kitchen, common amenities, and owner's quarter is situated on this level, opening out into the swimming pool and timber deck. Guest rooms are elevated, stilted to create open yet sheltered communal spaces below for various activities. These are staircases to the guest rooms. There's a few versions of them. And the bedroom is on top. And these are some of the bedrooms, looking out into the garden and as well as the swimming pool. We try to maximize green area where possible, so it's very lush. The story begins when this is actually intended, the swimming pool was intended as a fish pond, and we convinced our friends to turn it into a swimming pool. They did one better. They actually roped in their uncle, the renowned artist Mr. Ramsey Ong, and composed a unique mosaic pool design in hues of blue that became the focal point of the courtyard, complementing the lush green pockets of garden surrounding the house. This project was realized from site clearing to opening to guests within 7 months. We had to devise a way to facilitate quicker and easier construction method to ensure a timely finish. The overall building is generally of a lightweight structure. Working with our engineer, Fu Sing Ning, we used the working RC piles instead of the conventional Cast Institute RC column for the elevated guest room block. The piles are left standing, cut off at the required levels, reinforced to be used as column, which saved considerable construction time. We were mindful of the harsh coastal environment. Selected building materials had to be durable yet economical and able to be easily maintained. Hence the use of corrugated metal sheets as wall cladding. They reminded me of the metal sheets used in the kampong, but we utilized it in a contemporary manner. The colorful sheets will contrast the timber structure over time as the timber ages. Our friends' finishing touches with the fishing trap bamboo lighting, fixtures and selection of furniture and furnishing will give a subtle ambience of contemporary fishing village. We are delighted that our architectural design was able to complement their sense of style and decor. Most of the decorations are done by them. The original thatched roof for the main house was another story. Wanting to replicate the grass thatched roof in Bali, our friend hired 2 guys from Lombok who processed and built the roof for the main house. They scouted and collected the lalangs, local lalangs. That was when I found out that lalang actually have a price. Donald paid 2 ringgit per kg for them. And I believe they wiped out the entire lalang cultivation in Kuching that time. The grass roof did give the scheme an entirely different feel. It also felt cooler, more tranquil, as it became a noise absorber. But being an open concept main house, the birds had a field day. They harvested the grass and used it to build their own nest nearby. With the shortage of lalang, it meant that maintenance was challenging. After a few good years, they had to revert and change the thatched roof to match the existing block. So these are the differences. I think the images shared will give you an idea of the spaces. As architects, we know that our building belongs to the people we created it for. I know. I'm getting sentimental in my old age. We give life to form, work on it, cried about it, sweat over it, carried it through from construction to completion. Thereafter, the baby is given back to the owner and we have to let it go. One of the many pleasures in our work is that we get to enjoy some of the architecture we help create. Village House is one of them. Donna and Marina were gracious to host our office Xmas dinner the first year it was completed. We had several gatherings there and even a family wedding. Our relationship with Village House had not ended upon completion. We got visitation rights. So thank you everybody for being so patient and taking your time out on a Friday evening to hear us share our stories.
And thank all of you for coming, being so generous in the support of our public lecture series. Thank you.